Hello, everyone. I think it'd be kind of cool if I started playing a little bit of background music as I talked about some random stuff just to fill the empty air a little. Today is Friday, April 7th of 2023, and as of now, it is 6 p.m. I was going to go on a walk earlier today because the sun was really nice, but now looking at it, the weather doesn't seem so. Well, the weather is still nice. It's just a little colder now that the sun's kind of out. Um, and in any case, um, happy Friday, everyone. I was supposed to have school today, but then, today is a holiday, so I'm not having any. Um, Today I kind of wanted to talk about this one thing that, I'm not really sure if it's really around anymore. I think the trend may have died out a little, but I still see it sometimes here and there, even if it's not as common anymore. Just this kind of, um, I'm not sure, portrayal of depression as this really deep and meaningful thing. Like, I certainly agree that, meaning comes from suffering and all that, right? I think a lot of times when people face adversity or challenges, it can result in, a lot of development in the person, a lot of interesting art, and which is why, a lot of great pieces of of great works of art were, made by people who have gone through troubling times. But the thing about depression, I think, is that a lot of people seem to think that it in itself makes you a more deep and meaningful person, or like that the condition itself is deep and meaningful. Like, for example, you know um I'd see some pictures here and there of people who are portrayed to be depressed, like sitting in bed thinking about how terrible society is and how like broken they are as a result from their observations of like how much the world needs reform, just to like give an example. But I just kind of wanted to address the thing that, personally, with my experiences with depression, it didn't really come from anything. If you were to ask me how did it start, I don't think I could really give you an answer at all. I mean, all I know is that I've been dealing with it since very early in high school, maybe even like the year before high school, so like grade 7 to 8, I believe. And at the time, I did move around a lot. So for grade 7, I had just moved to my current residence, where I live right now. From another city that was still in the same province, but it's a bit away. And I didn't know anyone in my grade 7 year, and had some trouble with my teacher. And in grade 8, I had to, obviously, I graduated elementary, and I went to high school, and again, I didn't know anyone there either. So I guess loneliness and the sense of not belonging might have played into it. But aside from that, I don't really think that there's like this one specific cause for my depression. Like, for example, something really terrible happened in my life. I lost someone really important to me. Nothing like that happened, and besides that, every time um, you know, uh, what really causes it to flare up sometimes, because sometimes I'll have days where I'm feeling a little better, right? And just some hours where I'm actually, happy, enjoying life and all that, but sometimes it gets really bad. Um, it isn't, it comes and goes, right? But what really causes it to come and go isn't anything like major or meaningful either. Like, most of the time, I'd honestly just say that it's stupid, right? Like, maybe I took a little too long, right, doing this English assignment, and I'll think to myself, wow, I'm so stupid, man. I can't do anything right. It took me like an hour to finish a paragraph, or for example, maybe I'd be like, um, doing the dishes or something, and I like miss something, and I'm like, ah, man, so incompetent, can't even do the dishes, right? It most of the time it's just these little trivial things, and seemingly nothing at all. Sometimes it just really sets it off, right? And I wouldn't say that whenever I get depressed, I start being like super deep and philosophical or meaningful. I'm sure there's some people who might be like that, but I'm definitely not one of them. I mean, if anything, I think whenever I do get, well, I don't know, whenever an episode, I make it sound like a show. Whenever an episode of my, depression does come on, I more than anything, I feel like I'm even less. Oh, Oh, my model's glitching out a little. Give me a second. I'm sorry about that. More than anything, I feel like I'm like significantly less logical and reasonable in my thinking. So, I think personally I'm just a little upset by this portrayal or depiction of depression as this really um philosophical thing. I mean, my mom did tell me that, she thinks the reason why a lot of people who do tend to be, some fairly philosophical people, or like, people who like think a lot about stuff, um do tend why she thinks they do tend to be depressed is because, just because they think about a lot of stuff and they're prone to overthinking lots of little details in life that, usually would just be best to be ignored or like glossed over, I suppose. That's just a theory from mom, though. I haven't heard anything from an expert on that, so it's an interesting theory, and I suppose it makes sense. But then again, I do really think that this it should be treated as like, you know it's fairly debilitating, and I'd much rather live without it. I don't think it's made me any more thoughtful, or made me any wiser, I guess. Like I mentioned, I think I do actually become significantly less reasonable whenever I am, going through some pretty bad bouts of it. So that's just something I wanted to put out. Another thing, I suppose this is a more of a general misconception, because, a lot of people online do complain about people telling them, oh, just go to bed earlier and you won't be depressed, or like go outside, go exercise, like go running or something and you won't be depressed. And the thing about that is oftentimes what these suggestions, like, fixing the problems of not getting enough sleep, or sleeping too much, or not going outside for a walk, these are sometimes or to me at least, or but I also do know that this is a fairly common experience, I believe. These are symptoms, and they could be causes, but it's a cycle where having struggling with depression actually does make it harder to go to bed at reasonable times. It does make it harder to give yourself the energy or motivation to pick yourself up and go running or something like that. So I'd say, like, telling a depressed person to just go running more, or just sleep better, is kind of like, telling someone with a migraine to just like ignore the pain, or like stop getting migraines. I guess. Um, I guess the reasoning for that is most of the time it really just drains our energy, right? Thinking does drain a lot of our brain power, and we can't just not think, right? It's kind of part of the problem, right? And because of that, a lot of the time we just don't have the kind of energy to like go up and, get to bed. We kind of want to just stand there or sit around, and at least I'm speaking from my experience. At least I kind of want to just like sit there and or stand around and just kind of think about things and, do nothing else, because I really just don't have that energy in me to pick myself up, because I've got a bit of a thing where I'm a fairly hygienic person. I will not go to bed until I've showered, but showering takes a lot of energy out of me. It also takes a lot of time. So when it comes time to take a bath, a lot of the times it'll be really late into the night, because it takes me a while before I can actually muster up the energy to like pick myself up off my chair or my bed and, head over to the shower. And I think that's just kind of a thing that some people who try and tell you to just, fix your habits, don't really realize, is that, these bad habits are partially, maybe not completely, but at least partially caused by the illness itself. And what I do find works, though, is because it takes me so long to pick myself up from, sitting or lying around, and actually go up and shower so I can go to bed. What I do find works is actually deliberately going to shower earlier in the day when I still have the energy in me to do so, right? So I'm not like saving it for last, and I can still do it when I still, have it in me to, go over and clean myself, right? So I found that's been fairly helpful in making me go to bed earlier. Is just deliberately showering earlier in the day. But aside from that, I do really wish that people would, treat it as an illness, right? It's not really something that you can just ignore. It's not something that is, I suppose it's not really a matter of, just don't think about it, or just don't, just do something else, right? Because this is like a disease, right? This is like actually part of your brain that is not that is not working in a very efficient way, I suppose. So, and that about depression, you can't really just tell someone to just ignore it and it'll go away, right? It's an illness. It doesn't get better if you ignore it. um I mean, that's about all. I mean, they do have a point in that exercising does. I think it's just a physiological reaction where it releases something like dopamine, if I remember properly, that does make you feel better about yourself. Um, I'm not actually sure if it's dopamine, but I do know that exercising does release some sort of chemical that will make you feel better. But yeah, it isn't bad advice. I mean, keeping in shape is important after all. But if all you're suggesting is to, just to go exercise or just to go to bed earlier, it's just like, telling someone to just ignore the symptoms of their condition instead of offering them, a workaround or some way to solve it, right? And that's just kind of something that I wish is, I guess, especially as of now, it's people are getting more used to having discussions about mental health, so I think that's pretty good. Uh, but from an outsider perspective, sometimes it really does look as easy as just sleep better, or just go running. It does look that easy, but it really isn't, because there's lots of nuances, and oftentimes there has to be some sort of system established to actually help you have that energy to go out and make positive changes to your habits. Of course, I'm not being a downer. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done, and I really hope that I do get better soon. Hopefully I will. But I'm just thinking, that there's got to be like better ways to solve that problem that take the entire situation more into account. Um, that's about all. And if you aren't doing so well, then I do hope, you find something that ends up working for you, that helps you feel better and, get a little more back on track. Um, that's about all for today. I'll be signing out.